Hello you fantastic people, and welcome back to Borderlands 3, to a video that I'm super keen to bring to you guys. Over the last like 4 or 5 days, I've been non-stop building this mobbing build. I put off all the other videos I was making because I wanted to make the best flak mobbing build I could possibly come up with. Believe it or not, it is focused around the LOB, if you didn't see likely in the title on the way in. This thing got buffed. If you guys don't know, the LOB was like the biggest meme in Borderlands 3. It was trash, terrible, horrible. And like, I think it was 4 or 5 days ago, it got buffed by a ridiculous amount. It shoots extra projectiles. It's just an absolute machine. Take it on any build and it'll work pretty damn well. And I saw that and went, I need to center an entire build around this thing. So we have a radiation flak level 53 Mayhem 4 build in True Vault Hunter mode. Not that it makes that big of a difference. That absolutely destroys everything in this game. Primarily, I've just made boss killing builds in the past because that's literally all I've done in this game, is just destroy bosses on repeat. And I haven't really done the takedown that much. I hadn't done the slaughter shafts that much. This thing makes them a walk in the park, especially for considering I am terrible at them generally. So easy, destroys. You don't have to even really have a difficult strategy. There's many different playstyles. But yeah, in this video I'm going to go through the entire skill tree build that I have. I'm going to go through all of the weapons that I have with the anointments you want to look out for if you want to get the absolute maximum damage out of it, shields, artifacts, class mods, and all that sort of stuff you want to look out for. And I'm even going to have a PC game save file for you guys, so you guys can download that. It'll be in the description. Unfortunately, if you guys are on console, there's no way to like download and use other people's game saves yet, unfortunately. Maybe stay tuned for that, fingers crossed. But PC, you're more than welcome to download it down there. If you guys find this video helpful or enjoyable at all, I'd really appreciate if you guys could smash subscribe down below. I've been getting a bunch of support on all the build videos I've made recently, so I really appreciate that. And yeah, let's just jump straight into it. Also, apologies in advance. I'm going to try and make a conscious effort from now on, because in my last video I got a bunch of comments saying that I speak at 100 miles an hour. So I'm going to try and slow my voice down so you guys can understand, whilst keeping the video short and efficient for you guys. So the hero of this build, I can't believe I'm going to say this, is the LOB shotgun. If you guys don't know where to get this one from, it is a dedicated drop from Graveward. It can also drop as a world drop. But if you guys want to farm for that perfect anointment, we're going to be using Gamma Burst and as much radiation as possible for this build, because flak has a great radiation mobbing build. So you want to try and get the new anointment that was buffed recently. While Gamma Burst is active, gain 115% bonus radiation damage. That is the goal one that you want. Level 53 and as much radiation elemental damage as you can get for the LOB makes it so much stronger. Now I know, of course, with a lot of build videos there are usually about 2 groups of people. One group that play as much as me and have a heap of time to get anointments, and the other group of people that don't play much and play after work or something like that and don't have time to do all these crazy anointments. This build will work without all the crazy anointments. I'm going to run through the best stuff so you guys can farm for that and go for it if you want to get max DPS, but I'm telling you, this build will work without any of these anointments, I guarantee it. Now you can pretty much use the LOB with this build, killing anything in the game, but there are some situations where, you know, enemies might be a further distance away or really fast at moving around. The LOB has a slow projectile speed, so I keep a few other weapons on me. The main one is a radiation Lyuda. This thing is so good. If you can get the Gamma Burst anointment on it, again, amazing, but of course not necessary. The main reason I usually keep that on me if I'm doing the takedown and you get those super annoying flying around ones that zip everywhere, those are super easy to take down with a Lyuda. Secondly, if you guys can get a redistributor, that is also amazing. This one's only a level 50, so I can feel it's a little underpowered. I'm still farming for a Gamma Burst level 53. That will work amazing. On top of that, I've just recently discovered this pistol. Great pistol. You can get it in Tanzania Ruins from Atomic and whoever else it is. It's the crew challenge bosses. Those are the guys that drop it if you guys haven't seen this one before. Other great options are the Devil's Foursome. This thing is an amazing pistol as well. Super underrated in my opinion. You can also damage yourself with it, which is a good thing if you're using an elemental projector. The Cutsman, of course, Cutsman's always amazing. Rowan's Call works great. The Kib's Worth works great. Still working on getting a level 53 of this one because, of course, it takes a long time to kill these great anointments. Oh, and of course, it's great to have an iron cannon on you if you go down or something like that. Personally, I use the Lyuda more often in the raid because it's like if you miss the iron cannon and you have to reload, you really screwed yourself over. So I usually get the Lyuda, but either work just as great. Now, moving on to the shield, there are a few great options. The main one, if you're going to be using an elemental projector and you're going to depend on proccing yourself with radiation damage, this one is definitely the one you want to get. It is a red suit. It means you are immune to all radiation damage, which is fantastic for using a LOB because you can damage yourself with the LOB, you can damage yourself with the Devil's Foursome, and you can damage yourself with just, if you kill an enemy and they explode with radiation damage, if you're close to them, you'll get hurt from that as well. So I would definitely recommend getting a red suit at least, even if it's not your primary, maybe switching to it and checking it out. If you guys don't know where to get this shield, you can get it through a guarantee drop for a mission reward, I'm pretty sure, but you can also farm it after the game in Intensity of Ruins, farming Atomic and Silvestrio, same places you can get this pistol here. So it's a great dual farm if you want to get both. That's essentially how I came across finding the pistol, as I was farming this red suit. There are a lot of different variations. Personally, I don't have a great anointment on the shield yet, unfortunately. I'm going to still keep farming for that one. But if you guys also want to go for the best anointment, I got it on a level 50 shield, just this one here. On action skill and gain 50% extra radiation damage on weapons for 10 seconds is an amazing anointment to have. You could possibly still use the level 51 if you guys still have one from before the update, but I'd recommend going for level 50 because that extra capacity is really helpful, considering this shield has a super low capacity all the time. There's also a bunch of extra great bonuses that you can get on random rolls on this shield. It's definitely worth looking out for. For example, the one on the right says an extra 17% fire rate while shield is depleted. You're often depleting the shield in the takedown because you're just getting so much damage from bullets everywhere. The one on the left says extra melee damage while shield is depleted. Personally, I don't use that, but another one. The Fallout red suit on the right here does an extra 6,700 bonus Nova damage once shield breaks, which is great. I've been messing around with that a bunch, and the reason I don't use it as my main is because it has 500 less capacity than the one on the left, unfortunately. Otherwise, rather than the Nova, the most common one is the returns about 2,000 damage if meleeed while shielded. You can also get an amp damage one, but I wouldn't recommend that one because it reduces your shield capacity, and you don't want that. We're going to try to get as much capacity in this shield as possible. Now, if you don't like the red suit, another great option is a transformer shield. They're one of my favorite shields to use due to the 40% chance to absorb ammo and then adding them to your ammo count, which is a fantastic bonus. Also, you get 100% electric damage resistance, and also if you take any shock damage, it puts it back into your shield capacity rather than hurting you whatsoever, which is fantastic. Also comes with a great shield capacity, is over 3 times the size of my best red suit, and that's just an average transformer at level 53. Definitely recommend getting that if you guys are having trouble surviving using the red suit shield, which I totally understand because you take so much damage from all the enemies in the takedown. And I've been using this one because I managed to get the perfect anointment on this at level 53 on action skill and gain 50% radiation damage with weapons for 10 seconds, which helps so much. Now moving on to the grenade, I've been messing around with so many different grenade types now that I've been testing a bunch of different builds, and the Power Siphon Transfusion Tracker is the best one that I have found or came across so far. If you guys have any different recommendations, please let me know down below. This has been so much fun and super helpful with survivability, particularly with Flak, because that's his biggest problem when it comes to mobbing. Doesn't really matter about the damage or elemental type. Of course, it's an added bonus if you can get a radiation one with high damage, but personally I just use it for the bonuses. Heals 120% of health damage dealt, puts that back into your health, super helpful. And then on top of that, it heals shields for 6% of the shield damage dealt by the grenade. And if you've got a tracker, you can just be behind cover, throw one out, it does the damage for you. And if you're using a red suit, this is super helpful because you've got such a low capacity. If you're ever going down or close to going down, just spam a bunch of grenades and they'll get that health back into you super quickly. If you guys have time to go for the perfect anointment for that extra damage, I would definitely recommend on action skill and gain 50% corrosive damage with weapons for 10 seconds. The reason we're going for corrosive damage rather than radiation, because you want to try and get radiation on the shield and then the corrosive on the grenade, or either way around I guess, but I'd prefer having it on the shield. Now the reason we have corrosive damage on the grenade rather than radiation like the rest of the build has is because you already have it on the shield, and apparently you don't actually get the double bonus if you have it on both, so you definitely recommend to have a different elemental bonus on either one. It doesn't really matter which one. I prefer to have radiation on the shield because it's more a constant thing I have in my build. Where grenade I sometimes change around. For example, if you guys get a grenade that has on grenade thrown, weapon grenade, and action skill, damage are increased by 25% for 6 seconds. That is a great anointment to have. It doesn't have to be on a recurring hex. This just happens to be the best grenade I have it on because a recurring hex is already one of my favorite grenades. And on top of that, radiation damage helps the build again. Now as for class mod, the guaranteed 100%, like there's no competition for the class mod is Red Fang. If you guys are doing mobbing, if you guys are doing boss fights, anything like that, you definitely want Red Fang. And the reason for that is the bonus is so damn helpful. While Gamma Burst is active, Flak's pet taunts all enemies, which is so damn helpful. Essentially, you can have Gamma Burst open or active pretty much, I'd say about 90% of the time whilst doing the takedown, because you're getting the action skill cooldown and it's back up super quick and it lasts a really long time as on top of that, which is super helpful when your pet is just taunting everyone, no one's attacking you. If you're near them, honestly you shouldn't really be getting hit whatsoever, so you can just kind of follow your pet around and kill all the enemies for them. He has a bunch of extra health in this build, a bunch of damage reduction, all that stuff, so he won't actually down. Usually I can get through the takedown without him downing once, but on top of that, Gamma Burst and the augments we're using, you can revive him by just activating your action skill, so you don't have to revive him. He never actually fully dies. Maybe he downs a few times, but I've never had him die completely on me. And as you can see, the bonuses down the bottom of splash damage up by 28%, weapon damage up by 25%, and health regen, because we need as much as we can get, essentially. All great bonuses to have. As you guys can see, this is a level 50. I've been farming a whole bunch for a level 53. I've killed Gravehorde probably 1,500 times, and I haven't managed to get a better version, unfortunately, at level 53. I want to try and get splash damage is great. Torque projectile speed would be a great one to have, and of course just weapon damage is always good, and potentially shotgun damage, all great things you want to have on here, and any health regen is totally welcome in this build. But yeah, if you guys want to go for a better one, I'd recommend doing that as well. Now as for artifact, I switch between two constantly. That is the Snowdrift Victory Rush as well as the Elemental Projector Victory Rush. Both of these are amazing artifacts, and I honestly can't decide which one I like more. Both of them I use in the takedown, and both of them I can survive with ease. They both have great bonuses. One is level 53 and one is level 50. I haven't managed to get a Snowdrift Victory Rush yet at level 53, but I'm keen for it. The reason for the Snowdrift one is it has the increased slide speed of 102%. If you guys haven't seen one of these artifacts, they're amazing. I recommend getting them. You can just zip around. It's great for survivability. You get out of a situation so easily. You can run through the takedown, saves you a bunch of time, and it's just a lot of fun to use. On top of that, the added bonus of having the Victory Rush suffix of the artifact, kill a badass enemy to trigger a Victory Rush. 18% increase in movement speed and damage for 60 seconds, which is a super long time, and you can have that active all the time in the takedown because there's that many badass enemies. You can just destroy them, keep running, and within the next 60 seconds you're likely going to kill another 4 or 5. You'll never run out of that bonus, which is fantastic. Down the bottom we have pretty much the same bonuses on both our artifacts, which is awesome because they're all great. Area effect damage is great for the LOB. Magazine size, also great for the LOB, and pretty much any weapon. Honestly, magazine size helps all the time because no one wants to reload. And on top of that, action skill cooldown rate is great because you want to try and keep Gamma Burst open as long as possible and as much as possible in this build. And as for the Elemental Projector Victory Rush, this one is also amazing. The Elemental Projector is probably the most popular artifact in the game. It's fantastic. Essentially, if you haven't heard about it, if you proc yourself or damage yourself with an elemental type, you'll then do a damage bonus of 96% with that elemental type, which is like crazy. It's insane, which works really well with this build because you can damage yourself with LOB all the time, intentionally or by accident, as well as with the Devil's Foursome. Great weapons to use if you want to proc yourself, and then you do like pretty much double the damage with the elemental damage, which is super helpful. Destroys all the bosses and any enemies. It's kind of ridiculous. Then on top of that, we've got the shotgun damage on this one, action skill cooldown rate, and area effect damage. All great bonuses to have on your artifacts. Of course, not necessary, but if you guys want to farm for the best of the best, that is the one you're looking for. Okay, now onto the skill tree. I'll run through the entire thing for you guys because I'm sure a lot of people haven't used the Gamma Burst build before. I feel like Fadeaway is definitely Flak's most commonly used action skill, but since using the Gamma Burst, I highly rate it and recommend it for you guys. Starting with the green tree build, we don't have any points into it. The class mod adds 4 points into Eager to Impress. That essentially kill skill whenever Flak kills an enemy. Action skill cooldown is reduced, which you always need. Action skill cooldown is the best, particularly with Gamma Burst. You want to keep it open as much as possible. Whenever Flak's pet kills an enemy, action skill cooldown is reduced even more, and attack commands cooldown is refreshed. Honestly, that doesn't happen too much. We do have a bunch of amp damage for the pet, but I still don't think they're killing that much to make too much of a difference. It's mostly the top part where you're killing an enemy. Okay, now into the red tree. Interplanetary Stalker, I want to put 5 points into that one, definitely. It is a kill skill in which whenever Flak kills an enemy, you gain increased damage as well as your pet gains increased damage per stack of once you kill an enemy, you get 1 stack and you keep going, etc. It's 10% per stack with 5 points into it. Pet damage is 5% per stack, and you also get a few extra bonuses to robots, humans, and beasts. Moving down, we put 5 points into Hunter's Eye. Flak gains different kind of bonuses depending on what enemies you're fighting. 15% against humans, 30% against robots, which is super helpful, particularly for the takedown and things like the Slaughter Star. Any melee one enemies, essentially, when they have mechs, or even Wotan himself, getting that extra 30% armor damage is super helpful. And then damage reduction against beasts. Of course, there's none in the takedown or the Slaughter Shafts, but if you guys are doing normal boss fighting, could help a little bit extra. Now, the biggest difference to most Flak builds and the ones that I've made in the past, I didn't put any points into head count, and I didn't put any points into Leave No Trace. Leave No Trace because I feel like you're not hitting too much critical hits, and as well as with the head count because they're both critical hit related. If you guys prefer, you could take a few points out of Hunter's Eye and put it into head count if you guys want to test it out, if you guys aren't getting action skill back. Personally, with the build that I have and the extra bonuses we have, I don't reckon we wait any longer than 5 seconds to get Gamma Burst back once it's run out, so personally I don't think it's necessary. And then adding the ammo back, I don't think we're hitting enough criticals to worry about Leave No Trace personally. But you guys can test it out if you'd like. Let me know how you go down below. Moving down to 2 Fang, you want to put 5 points into this one definitely, because 25% of the time you're getting extra projectile. If you're using the LOB primarily like I do with this build, it is so helpful to get that extra damage out of it. 1 extra projectile in the LOB is like honestly ridiculous, particularly something against Wotan who has a bunch of damage. You've mostly one-shot everything else, but Wotan, if you're getting that extra damage, super helpful. Moving down to big game, put 3 points into that. You essentially get extra skill duration and effects out of that one. Moving across to the most dangerous game, honestly, I'd recommend you guys testing out whether or not you prefer to have 2 or 3 points into this one. I kept it at 2 because I want to put more points in the blue tree, but this is a great skill. Whenever Flak kills a badass or a stronger enemy, which happens regularly throughout the takedown, you get increased critical hit damage, gun damage, handling for a long time, and your pet also gets increased damage, which is helpful in this build. At the current 2 points, I get 17% gun damage and 6.7% critical hit damage. At the next level, it will be 25 and 10, which is a substantial increase. So I recommend putting extra points in there if you guys have some spare to put into it. But that got us down to the next level, which I put 1 point into Galactic Shadow because it's definitely worth doing. An extra 15% critical hit damage from 1 point in a skill tree is definitely worth doing. And then 4 points into Grim Harvest, which is where I was mostly like, do I want to put more points into this or this one? This one is increased gun damage and action skill damage, and Flak's pet also gains increased damage as well. But that is all the time. You don't have to kill a badass enemy to trigger this one. So if you're, fighting Wotan and there's no extra smaller enemies within, the time frame you need it, you're constantly getting that extra damage and action skill damage. As you guys can see, it's only an extra increase in 3% gun damage per skill, which isn't that much, especially compared to the most dangerous game, which is 8% from 17 to 25. So that's why I was gonna put extra points into this. But then in Grim Harvest, you get an extra 40% action skill damage at 4 points. If you want to put 5 points into it, you get 50% action skill damage, which is definitely worth it, and you get it all the time. So I'd recommend 4 and 2 is the current one I have. But moving on, you definitely want to put a point in Megavore. 20% critical hit chance on any part of an enemy, so things like a Wotan, anything huge. The LOB isn't always accurate, of course. You're mostly sort of spraying or trying to get an area effect damage situation happening. But if 20% of the time those shots are counting as critical hit damage, that is a lot of extra damage, which you definitely want to put a point into that one. Now moving on to the blue tree. I have never put points into the blue tree properly for an end game build of Flak until this build here. So hopefully I got everything right. I watched a lot of videos and did a lot of research and spent like 4 or 5 days in this. So I think I've got it perfect now after a lot of testing. Of course, first one you want to put in is Gamma Burst. If you guys have never used Gamma Burst, Flak creates a rift at a target location, teleporting their pet through the rift and dealing radiation damage to nearby enemies. Additionally, Flak's pet becomes irradiated, growing in size. He literally becomes huge, dealing bonus radiation damage. As much radiation as you can pump into this build, definitely worth doing. Using Gamma Burst while Flak's pet is downed or dead will revive the pet at the target location with 30% of its health, but will double the action skill cooldown time, which is fantastic. You never actually have to revive him. If you have a downs, you just use your action skill, gets him up at the target location, which is a fantastic bonus because if he ever downs during the takedown, you don't have to stop and revive him and likely die trying. You can actually just use your action skill and it revives him at the location with enough health to just get back into it and continue the fight, which is great. The base damage of using the Rift skill is just under 5,400 damage, which is a lot. The skill duration is 20 seconds at base, which is a pretty long time, but then we add some extra time into it through other skills, and the cooldown is 30 seconds, but we have taken that down a lot to the point where it's like maximum 5 seconds. Moving through the tree itself, you definitely want to put 3 points into this one. Increased gun damage, super helpful, and action skill duration by 45%, so instantly we have a heap of extra time whilst Gamma Burst is open, which is what we definitely want, particularly for our weapons. Anything that has the extra Gamma Burst damage of 115% are all going to do an extra ton of damage whenever it's open, so you want to keep that on as long as possible. The 2 points on the side honestly don't do too much of a difference. You're only really getting to the next level, so I just put 1 point in each personally. At the next level, you want to put 5 points into Frenzy. Frenzy is a great skill. Whenever Flak's pet deals damage, doesn't even have to kill things, just deals damage. Flak and their pet gain a stack of Frenzy. Each stack of Frenzy increases damage. At level 5, you get 4% per stack, which is crazy. Maximum stacks is 10 stacks, and the stacks decay after a while. Your pet is constantly dealing damage. Here's the center of the fight whilst using Gamma Burst. You use Gamma Burst, rift him into the center of the fight. He deals a whole bunch of radiation damage on like the explosion on the way in, and he just jumps in and starts attacking everyone. So you're getting stacks super quick. And on top of that, a great combo to have is he bites. This one I have a point in via my class mod. Didn't even have to spend a skill point, which is great. Whenever Flak's pet takes damage, the pet returns some damage to the attacker. You only really have to put 1 point into this, and it procs Frenzy on top of that. So whenever Flak's pet is dealing damage or taking damage, you're getting more damage stacks yourself, and so is your pet, which is fantastic. Next, to keep your pet alive, honestly, you can change this one up a little bit. I personally put 5 whole points into this because he was downing a fair bit, and I want to keep him alive as much as possible because that is increasing my damage and my survivability a lot. Whenever Flak's pet deals damage, Flak regenerates health for a few seconds, and whenever Flak deals damage to an enemy, their pet's health is restored for a portion of the damage dealt. So as long as you're attacking, your pet is regenerating health, which is absolutely ideal because as long as he's alive, you're alive, and it's just constantly a circle which keeps everybody happy and doing damage. Alternatively, if you don't want to put all the points into that one, you can put it into either of these 2 points. These are both great. This one increases the pet's damage by 26%. Whenever Flak kills an enemy, they also get movement speed increase by 16% for the total of 8 seconds, which is a great skill to have. Alternatively, you can put points into this, which shares your damage that you take with your pet, essentially meaning you will survive longer because your pet can absorb a lot of damage in this build. I personally don't put points into this because we make it further down in the build to this one here, and Shared Spirit is a great point to spend. 1 point gets you all of this, by the way. While Flak is at low health, a portion of all damage they take is shared to their pet instead. 50% damage shared. So if you're low on health, your pet is absorbing so much for you and keeping you alive for a super long time, which is great. So definitely put a point in this one. But before that, you want to put a point into mutated defenses as well. Whenever Flak's pet is at low health, it gains damage reduction and regenerates health, keeping it alive a lot. I've seen him sit on like this much health for so long in the takedown. It's definitely worth putting 1 point into this. He gets 40% of his health back over 6 seconds, which is pretty damn good. Damage reduction of 30% for 6 seconds, which is great as well. I've seen him sit on that small amount of health and keep me alive as well because of the damage shared for so long. It's really helpful. Moving on to Barbaric Yap, I'm going to say you pronounce it. I honestly have no idea. Increases the power of pet bonuses granted to Flak by 200%. All of these became so much better and stronger, and just put 5 points into that, trust me. And then the final skill you want to put 3 whole points into is Pack Tactics. All damage dealt by Flak and their pet is increased. Additionally, maximum health for both Flak and the pet is increased as well. So your damage is increased by 21%, which is very substantial, and max health by 15%. Again, very substantial, keeping you alive for a long time. As for augments, you definitely want to go these two just here. Fantastic ones to use. Empathetic Rage. For the duration of Gamma Burst, damage dealt by Flak is increased by 20%. As an augment, that's fantastic. Definitely put it on that one. And then on top of that, after using Gamma Burst, the Rift remains the duration of the skill. While standing near the Rift, there's a little area of effect. You'll definitely be able to see it. Flak and their allies rapidly regenerate health. 20% of max health per second, which is just great. I'll show a few clips in a second, but essentially the strat with using the Rift and these augments is you rift your pet into the middle of the huge area of enemies. He explodes in with a bunch of radiation damage. All the enemies will instantly be taunted by him, so they'll only attack him. You can then run in, stand next to the like little rift thing that is healing you 20% of your health per second, and just help out your pet and do all the damage and really take no damage. And if you are, you're getting that regen, which keeps you alive in the center of the fight. It's a lot of fun to use. You're essentially just run through the whole time and you're not taking damage. It's kind of like essentially being Gunzerker again. You can just absorb everything, take everything, and do all the damage. It's a lot of fun. Oh, and pet selection is the Great Horned Skag. He's the best one, in my opinion at least. Flak's Skag evolves into a larger, greater horned Skag, which will increase Flak's damage and gun damage, which is great. 15% and 30% for damage and gun damage, respectively. Whenever Flak issues an attack command, the Great Horned Skag will charge at enemies and knock them into the air, which is a lot of fun to use. Personally, I don't really use it that much, but it's more just for the memes. But that gun damage and extra damage itself, so helpful. Alternatively, you could use the Iridian Skag. He has the 15% damage, but doesn't have the gun damage. Instead, he has 15% fire rate, which is kind of helpful. The LOB does have a relatively slow fire rate. It's not that necessary to have a high one, but it does help a little bit. The added bonus of having the Iridian Skag over the Horned Skag Skag is whenever you use your attack command, it's actually super useful. The Iridian Skag pulls all the enemies in by generating a singularity. It's like one of the grenades that like sucks all the enemies into a spot, and then you can just shoot the lob into that pack and it'll kill everything. It's actually a lot of fun, but personally I use this one because I want to get that extra damage all the time, because I'm not always near my pet and I often forget to use my action command, if I'm going to be honest. But yeah, that is the entire skill tree, build, weapons, anointments, and everything. If you guys found this video helpful or enjoyable, I'd appreciate if you guys could smash subscribe down below. Took a long time to put this one together, so I appreciate all the support you guys have been showing on all the build videos. Really appreciate it. You guys are legends. Okay, post editing Cody, I was going to put a run of the Maliwan Takedown using this build so you guys could see how amazing the damage and everything is at the end of this video, but I don't want to scare a bunch of people away by making like a 35-minute video because it's already way too long. So if you guys want to watch that and check it out and see how this build absolutely makes it a walk in the park, it makes it easy on Mayhem 4, on the true raid takedown mode, whatever it's called, the 4-player difficulty. If you guys want to see that, we're going to make it a separate video for you guys. You'll be able to see it in the end title card screen thing. You can check it out in the description. I'll link it there. And if you guys just want to check the channel, whatever, I'm going to post it half an hour after this video was posted. So if you guys are like one of the very first people to watch it, just check back on the channel in like 5 minutes and it'll be up. I post at the same time. YouTube's notification system will mess up, so get that up, that's why. So then you guys can see if you want to go for the build itself, or you're more than welcome to download the PC game save file that I have in the description if you guys are on PC. It is totally free. Please, for the love of God, do not buy anything off eBay if you're getting Borderlands 3 weapons. There are so many free ways of getting it. I'll give you all the weapons in this build for free in the description. If you guys are on console, just leave a comment down below if you guys want to do some trading or something down below. The Borderlands 3 community is so helpful. There's plenty of Discord servers and Reddit communities that will give away weapons for free, or just trading. If you guys have anything to give back, they're more than happy to trade. Please don't use eBay. If you guys want to help me out even more and like the video and share it with your friends so that they know this amazing build exists and they need to start using the LOB, believe it or not, the LOB is actually good now. And yeah, I'm going to get out of here so you guys can enjoy that Maliwan Takedown run. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, adios.